We're here.
Welcome, everybody, to the Bush and Mee Show. It's the divisional round. I'm
Ooh,
excited for it, but I know you always say there's only 3 weeks left. That means of
ooh,
football, but there's going to be some good football games
man, great
coming up
football
this week.
games. Absolutely. It's a lot of teams with something to prove out there. There's a lot of key players with something to prove as well. So I'm really excited to see all these quarterbacks really go after it, but the teams as well. But you got the Lamar situation, you got the Brock Purdy deal, right? It's exciting. I'm extremely excited about this. And you got this rookie from Houston going into Baltimore. Can he shock the world? I don't know. We're gonna talk about it a little bit though.
I hope we don't shock the world. But before we get into the games directly, a few trends. Last week, these were big dog.
Yeah.
All 5 of them hit. This week, we got prime time. We got trends, but we're going to start with prime time unders. It's a big thing everybody talks about this year. Prime time unders hitting at 61% of the time. So if
Mm.
you just want to say, hey, it's nighttime, let's take the under, that's going to be the Green Bay and San Fran game. That's going to be the Buffalo and Kansas City game where there might also be some weather. Overs in domes are hitting at 65% of the time the last 20 years. That's going to be your Tampa Bay and Detroit. I like that over in that game. There's no weather to worry about. You're inside. Both teams are coming off unders, so the contrarian play is going to be the over as well.
Unless you're a reporter asking Todd Bowles about what he thinks about the
And where
weather.
you're playing. That was terrible. How do you recover from that?
Oh, that's bad.
When the number 1 seed plays the number 6 seed or lower, that game goes under at 78% of the time. So we already had one for the Green Bay San Francisco game. Now here's a second one. That's going to make that play even stronger.
Yeah.
So the Green Bay and San Francisco is the highest total on the board this week, but these trends are saying to take the under. And the last one isn't set in stone for any of these games yet, but you got 2 games at 9.5 on the spread right now.
Oh,
The trend is double-digit favorites are 13-0 straight up in the playoffs and 12-1 against the spread. The only loss was actually last year where the Bills were at home. They were 14-point favorites to the Dolphins, and your Dolphins covered that spread even though
they
they
did.
lost by 3.
And I remember that game because that was obviously a big headline is can these Dolphins play in the cold weather? And they went up there and actually gave them a good matchup. So, stat man, you're at it again.
Well, you have San Francisco opened as a 10.5 point favorites down to 9.5.
Mm,
Now we're filming this early. Baltimore's also 9.5 right now. Both those numbers could easily jump into the double digits, so keep an eye on them.
yeah, for sure. Which let's get into it though, man. I'm excited about getting into these games.
Let's start in Baltimore, Houston and Baltimore. Like you said, can the young, strapping rookie, who was the number 2 overall pick, not the number 1,
Yeah.
can they go back into Baltimore? They were there week 1 where they lost 25-9, but some might say this is a different team. This young man has grown since then.
It's
What are
a
your
different
thoughts?
team. You're right. It is a different team, and you have a rookie quarterback that was playing in his first game, right? So look at how this player has progressed over the whole season. Look at the job that he did last week. And the beautiful thing about him last week and the Houston Texans was the fact that they didn't put all the pressure on CJ Stroud's shoulders. You feel me? They came out, they were dedicated to the run game. They let this quarterback make the right reads. I thought he did a great job. Obviously, everybody thought he did a great job. He came out, went 16 for 21. Was it 3 touchdowns? Like unreal, right? And the one thing that you can really take away from that first matchup is how the Houston defense was playing pretty damn good back then, and they played lights out last week, right? And when you go back and look at how they were able to somewhat contain Lamar a little bit in that game, didn't let him get go crazy on the ground, held him to I believe right under 200 yards through the air. If that's something that they can replicate, they might have a chance to make this a close game. Will they win? Listen, that's to be said, but I do think if they can rely on that defense, it could be pretty exciting.
Well, Lamar is 1-3 straight up in the playoffs. Everyone's talking about 2019 when they were the 1 seed hosting Tennessee, and Tennessee
Yeah.
came into Baltimore and smacked them around. Got up early
Yeah.
and took Baltimore out of their game plan of run, run, run. That was with Mark Ingram and Lamar back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some are saying this is a different Baltimore team, though. This team is beating people by a big margin.
Yeah.
They have a different swag to them, and Lamar has something to prove. You know, he might come out here and light it up on this Houston team. Um, but like you said, Houston could keep it close. But I will say this Houston team is different on the road than they are at home, as most
Yes.
NFL teams are. They lost to the list is the Jets, Atlanta,
Yeah.
and the Panthers all on the road.
Yeah.
They
I,
give
I
up more
believe they have
points
four
on the
losses.
road.
Four
Yep,
losses on the road, I believe.
they're 4-4.
Um,
Yeah. Now
yeah.
here's the big kicker though. That game one was in September. Now, if you've ever been to Baltimore in September, it's a nice crisp 65 with just a little breeze.
Yeah.
It's going to be 20 degrees, big dog, on Saturday, and the city's going to be rocking. And Houston plays in a dome. Dome teams over the last 20 years are 2-6 straight up in the playoffs in 30 or below. I don't think Houston's going to be able to keep up with it. They might hang for a little bit. The team there is something to say about the team coming off the bye. They get off to a slow start.
Yeah.
Houston might hang in the first quarter. I think by the second quarter, Baltimore's going to be clicking. I like Baltimore to win and cover this number, double
What's the
digits,
what's the spread? Give me the numbers.
9.5.
What's
Over
the
under is
total?
43.5, which is kind of on the lower end.
Yeah.
They see it being a lower game.
And the thing is, though, like you definitely got to take into effect that this team has gained momentum, right? Houston, week 17, win and get in. Okay, last week, they were able to put on a good performance. I hate doing like quarterback versus quarterback matchup, but I do feel like this is a game of which quarterback is going to make the least amount of mistakes, right? And what's going to be the defensive game plan for the Houston Texans, right? Obviously, Lamar has been great running the ball. He's been great through the air, but they complement each other. So, has anybody been able to take his run game away? Like, I believe that the defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans is going to have to figure out how to make Lamar beat you within the pocket. Now, he can have success because he's thrown the ball well pretty much all year, right? But you don't want to give this guy. You don't want him to be, hit you with the double whammy. Like, can he run? Can he pass? What's going to, what's going to give here? I believe though the biggest matchup for me is going to be how great the Baltimore Ravens have been running the ball all year. Three running backs and that quarterback, like we talked about. Listen, man, the Houston Texans, they're number one in the NFL with opposing running back yards per carry. So if you can make this team one dimensional, Houston, you have a chance, right? I believe you have a chance. But Houston will have a problem if you do not stop the run game, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, you cannot let this team be balanced. You cannot let the Ravens go up and down the field and dictate how they want the game to go. I do think it's going to be a little bit closer than what most people think. I don't think it's going to be that wide margin like it was in the first game. I think Houston's going to make this game a little bit more competitive. 9.5, that's a little iffy to me. I think Baltimore's going to win the game, but I think Houston's going to cover.
Okay, we'll see. Just remember this name, Zay Flowers. He's an extension of the run game. You're gonna see the short passes. They're gonna dink and dunk.
For sure.
Lamar's gonna get in his groove, and I got them winning by double digits, man. They're on a mission. They want to host the AFC Championship game for the first time in Baltimore history.
Well, yeah, I mean, every number one seed wants to do that, right? But I don't know, man. Let's see. Let's see what D'Amico Ryans does. I like Baltimore to win. I like Houston to cover them.
There you go. I got Baltimore minus the points. You got Houston with the points.
Yeah.
Let's go to San Fran, the other number one seed with the red hot Green Bay Packers coming into town, big dog. The Packers are 7-6-1 straight up as an underdog this year. They've been an underdog 14 times. They've
Wow.
won 7 of them. One more win ties them for the record for most wins as an underdog in NFL history. Can this be that win? If it is, I got one more thing for you. Jordan Love will be the first quarterback ever in the history of the NFL in the Super Bowl era to beat the 49ers and the Cowboys in the same playoff run. No one's ever done it before.
Great stat.
Can he
What's the
can he
numbers
do
of
it?
this thing?
San Fran
What's
was
the,
minus 10.5. It's down to 9.5. You got some Green Bay money coming in early. The over under opened at 49.5. It's up to 50.5. They think it's going to be a high scoring game.
mm,
I mean, who
mm.
doesn't? I mean, Green Bay almost hit that number by themselves last week.
Again, like I can draw so many different comparisons, right? Because San Fran is such a loaded team in
Mm-hmm.
all three phases. You look at them offensively. I'm always going to start up front. They have a really good offensive line, right? They have the best running back in the NFL, two great elite receivers, and an elite tight end. And you still have a young quarterback that's done a lot of good things in this league, but it's really about what can he do when the playoff lights are on. This is a winning. This is a winning. Keep going. Lose. We're going to Cancun type of deal, right? And I do believe that momentum can play a big part in this game, especially with Green Bay winning four. They should definitely feel really good about themselves. They went into Dallas, right? So it's really all about believing, right, in the team, believing that you can go in these environments and win. And you did that. You already conquered a beast in Dallas who's 8-0 at home. Everybody saw the storylines and nobody gave them a chance, right? So Houston, Green Bay went in there. And here's the thing that really kind of makes this situation a little perplexing for me is that Green Bay has a roster and a makeup for an upset or at least a close game in this one because I think you do have a good poised quarterback who's accurate, who can spread the ball out to his receivers, has a good young core group of receivers. They got Christian Watson back, I believe, a few weeks ago. So he's getting back into the fold, getting back into the swing of things. And I think they have a good, solid defense and good pass rushers. I think Green Bay has an opportunity to make this a very competitive game, but you have got to take Christian McCaffrey out the game. Make Brock Purdy beat you, right? Figure out how on first and second down, how are you going to contain them, right? They do a great job of obviously mixing up their fronts and getting Christian McCaffrey on the sidelines, but you got to make Brock Purdy beat you through the air. I think that's the only opportunity you have, Green Bay.
Are you taking Green Bay with the points?
No, no, I'm not.
You taking San
Here it is.
Fran?
I said that's their opportunity, right? I
Right.
didn't say that that's
I'm
how
just
they make
asking.
this
I'm just
competitive.
asking. I
Yeah.
need some clarity there.
I just
Um,
think San Francisco's too loaded. I
the
really truly do.
the thing about this week, divisional round weekend, and it used to be more prevalent when there were two teams with a bye. Now
Yes.
there's only one, but everybody falls in love with what they just saw, right? So
Mm,
last week, everyone saw Green Bay. Everyone saw Houston. Big margin wins. Green Bay was on the road, made Dallas look silly. Everybody's falling in love with Green Bay this week. They can beat San Fran. Everybody forgets how good San Fran was all year
yeah.
long.
Yes.
Don't
And
forget about that.
yeah,
Now,
and the thing I'm sorry. Go ahead.
now San Fran was the 21st team in the history of the NFL to never be an underdog throughout the whole regular season. They were always the favorite. This team is solid, offensively, defensively, special teams. 10 of those teams went on to win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, 6 of those teams went on to win the Super Bowl. 10 of them went to the Super Bowl. So only half those teams have gone to the Super Bowl. So they could slip up somewhere along the line. I just
Yeah.
don't think this is it. I think they got healthy while they were off. I think they're going to game plan. Kyle Shanahan's 4-0 straight up and against the spread as a home favorite. I got them
Mm,
covering. I think they're going to win at least by 2, maybe 3 touchdowns here.
yeah. I, uh, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Again, you go back and you look at the Packers. I mean, it's the Cowboys. It's like once the playoffs come, they just piss down their leg.
Yep.
So I can't even put too much stock into that. But
No, you
again,
can, you can. They
yeah,
played really well, and they
for
have
sure.
played well all season. They've overachieved, but every overachieving team hits that wake up
I'm
call,
start.
and then it's
I'm
like we had a
starting
great
up
game.
front. I'm starting up front. I think their offensive line is too good. I think their defensive line is really going to be the issue for Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You go back. You just look at their tackles in Green Bay. They're good, man. Like you got to deal with Chase Young, you got to deal with Bosa, and then you have two freaks off the middle, and then you have an All Pro linebacker, and then you have a good second. Like I just think that I think the Green Bay train ends here. Like you said, I definitely think this is a two touchdown, 10 plus uh, uh, margin of victory for the San Francisco 49ers. I believe that this is the one seed game that's going to be I ain't gonna say a blowout, but when you're the one seed, you want that first game that you have, you want to feel confident about that, especially going into the next round. And I believe San Francisco got the right matchup to do that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there.
Hmm.
So moving on to Sunday, we're gonna go
Okay.
to Detroit Rock City.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
there I know Baltimore's excited. San Fran has a little golf clap. Is there a city that's going to be more lively, more excited to
It's
have
going
this
to be
game?
lit.
This is
It's
their
going to
second
be
home game.
super lit in Detroit. I know that's what the kids say. It's going to be rocking in there, man. Like I just think the Bucks, as talented as their roster is, especially offensively. I mean, I like them defensively as well. They're a little, weak in the secondary, and I think that's really going to kind of come back to bite them coming into this week. But I really loved that game last week, and the thing that made that game so exciting and one so close was Matt Stafford. He's a different type of quarterback, right? This is a guy who's extremely like he's just and that was a different type of game. Like the Lions came out, there was a lot of emotion. Um, again, I think again, I got to look at the offensive line, Meehan. They protected well all season. If they can do a solid job of protecting, I think they have a good opportunity to one protect this quarterback to get it down the field, and one expose this Bucks secondary a little bit. I do believe, like we talked about, that is their weakness a little bit, but they got to stay committed early and often to the run game.
I agree. This is a rematch of earlier in the year. The Lions won the game 20-6. It was low scoring, and they won by 2 touchdowns. Well, now you got the Lions at home, -6.5. Over under is 48.5. So they are anticipating this to be a lot more high scoring than that 20-6 game.
Right.
Um, the city's going to be rocking. I think Campbell's going to have the team ready to go. But everyone's just talking about NFC Championship game for this team already, right? So this is the biggest line as a favorite for the Lions in franchise history. I think it's baked into the Baker, like a little play on words there. It's
I
baked
like that.
into the line now. They're too much of a favorite. Like you're used to the Lions being that underdog. Like look, they
Yeah.
won last week, but they didn't cover the 3.5.
Yeah.
They're the only team that won that didn't cover last week. Um, in 20 years, the Lions have been favored by 6 or more, and I'm sorry, 6 or more to an above 500 team, and they're 0-2 both times. So both times that they get this excitement, they get this, they're supposed to
Mhm.
win this game, they get caught up a little bit, and I think they're going to win this game, but I think it's too many points to lay. I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last.
Mm.
I think it's going to be a field goal game either way, and I think you take Tampa Bay with the points in this game.
I like the Lions. I feel like
You gonna
I
give
like
me
the
a
Lions. With
second?
I'm just going to just totally rebut. I like the Lions in this one. I think last week's matchup was the game that came down to the last, whoever had the ball last, or that really close,
Uh huh.
tight score.
They had their scare. They got their scare out the
Yeah,
way. You're
yeah, they
saying.
did. I mean, and you go back and look at it. I mean, Matt Stafford fed Puka Nakua. I don't think that, I believe Mike Evans obviously has that capability, but I don't know. I can't put Baker Mayfield into that Matt Stafford category. I
What if
feel like
What if I told you Baker Mayfield's 3-0 against the spread in the playoffs? Against the spread,
mm,
he's going to keep it close. What if I told you the Bucks maybe 6-6 straight up this year, but they're 9-3 against the spread as an underdog? I think the Bucks have the
listen, man.
defense to keep it close. I think they're going to be in this game, and I think it's going to come down to a last second field goal. I love the story, and I love to see Detroit win this game, but I'm going to take the 6.5. And if you wait till Sunday, I bet that it could go up to 7. So if you want Tampa Bay like
I'll
I
be
do,
honest with you.
I would
I
wait.
could go either way. I could go. I see what you're saying. Like they have firepower. Like they have the ability to make this a close game, right? I just think it comes down.
They got the
I love
weapons. Am I convincing you? Come on
you.
over to this
You
side. Come
somewhat
on
are.
over
You
to the
somewhat
good.
are. Like you got me feeling like this is going to be like a 3 or 4 point win for the Lions, and
I think it's going to be one possession. It's going to be
I'm
back and forth
listen.
scoring.
I'm gonna side with you. I'm gonna side with you on this. I think it's like again. I think it's like a 3 or 4 point win for the Lions. I really think kind of like last week. I think the X factor is Detroit. I feel like It is, man. Sometimes when you're destined for it, you are. I do think this is going to be a little bit more of a competitive game. I was thinking a touchdown at first, but the thing that worries me about the Lions is they do have a hard time sometimes stopping opposing wide receivers, right?
Secondary. That's where this is going to be. Baker's going to hit the open man. He's not going to try to overdo anything. Mike
Right.
Evans,
But
Godwin.
the pass rush is important.
Correct.
That's going to be important, right? So if the pass rush and the blitzing can get after Baker and you can fluster this guy, you got an opportunity. You got opportunity for the Lions to really kind of blow this out the water a little bit. You get that momentum. You get the crowd behind you a little bit. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts that goes into that, but it is playoff football. I don't see a whole bunch of mistakes happening. I
I'm
like the
taking
Lions.
I'm taking Tampa. Are you taking the Lions minus 6.5?
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions. I'm going
Okay.
against you.
Okay. I like it. All right, so we started off with a 9.5 point favorite. We moved on to another 9.5 point favorite. That one got us a little worked up. We went back and forth. We're on opposite sides. Now we go to what arguably is the game of the week, maybe the game of the year. Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yes.
Barbecue or wings? What are you doing? There's a rematch from
Mm,
earlier this year as well.
it
Buffalo
is.
won 20-17.
Yeah, and you had that. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a controversial call. Kadarius Tony toe.
So
Just a little
gave him this
offsides, and and the Chiefs would have won that game.
hell of a lateral, by the way. He made it look effortlessly.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Absolutely did. To me, it's all about Josh Allen. We talked about it last week. Are you going to pressure this guy up the middle? I can't wait to see what Spagnuolo comes up with to contain this guy, right? You got to pressure him up the middle. This is going to be an important moment for the edge rushers to not just run by the quarterback, but be in a place that when he gets flushed out, kind of like last week, right? Both of the tackles for Buffalo let up a sack last week because Josh Allen tried to escape, right? Through one of those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pressure that middle, and it's not going to be. And here's the other X factor. Here's the other matchup that I cannot wait to see: L'Jarius Sneed versus Diggs. Look what he did versus Tyreek Hill 2 times this year. Right? Tyreek got off a little bit, but he's challenging these guys at the line. When he played Diggs, he played really solid against him. And what is it? Early December.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a hell of a matchup. I think as much as Patrick Mahomes means to the Chiefs, and obviously when it comes playoff time, he's going to be ready to go. I believe the Chiefs defense is going to be the spot in the team that's going to have to come up big. What's the numbers on this game?
So it's hovering around 2.5 or 3, which is a big number there. It's at 2.5 right now.
Favored.
Buffalo's favored at home, but less than a field goal, they're saying. So Buffalo just went into Kansas City and won, and now they're at home, less than a field goal. It's one of those, they hang the carrot out there for you and say, oh, they just beat them in Kansas City. Why wouldn't they win by less than a field goal here? And everybody jumps on
Right.
Buffalo. But
Right.
you do have Kansas City, the Mahomes effect, the Taylor Swift effect. Public starts to fall in love with all that as well. You got the Swifties,
You got the script writers who want to see Taylor
script
at
writers who want to see
the AFC Championship. They want to make sure they get that FaceTime.
they want to see
Uh,
Taylor
you
visit
know,
Baltimore. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you would love that, wouldn't you? I can see you now outside the stadium with your Swifty jersey on. Maybe you can get Kyle Juszczyk's wife to make you make you a Swifty jacket or
Hey,
something. You feel me?
rumor is she went to Towson. I haven't looked that up yet, but I heard somebody say shout out to
Yeah, I
Towson.
saw that. I saw that. If she's a fellow Towson Tiger, I mean,
Better get some jackets.
I need a jacket. I need that Tiger discount too. You feel me?
I'm still torn on this one. I got to break it.
I'm going with the
You
Chiefs.
got the
I'm
Chiefs?
going with the Chiefs.
How about
How you gonna
this?
beat Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and Taylor Swift?
Should have started with Taylor Swift. I have
No.
I have a 10-1 on the Bills to win the Super Bowl back when they weren't even set to be in the playoffs. So I'm rooting for that. But Patrick Mahomes, 5-0 in the divisional rounds, never lost. 2-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. 0 interceptions in the division round in 180 attempts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never played a road playoff game though. This is the first true road playoff game. Other than that, he's 12-3 in the playoffs. For those of you guys who are going to say, what about the Super Bowl? That's a neutral site. This is a true playoff game. He's never played in one before. Here's an interesting fact that I haven't heard anywhere else, and you're hearing it here exclusively. If you've heard it somewhere else, then good for you. But I have not heard this anywhere, and I was shocked when I heard it. Kansas City has a 2-day rest advantage in this game because that Buffalo game got moved ahead. This has
Ooh.
only happened one other time in the history of the playoffs since the Super Bowl era, and that was in 22-23 last year. San Francisco and Dallas. San Francisco had 2 extra days rest, and they won the game 19-12 as a 3.5-point favorite. So they won and they covered. But that's an interesting advantage there, especially when you think Pittsburgh's a tough team. So yeah, Buffalo won that by 14 points, but that's a physical matchup to come off of and not
And it was cold as
and,
hell, and you got to recover.
and you got
You
2
got to
extra
do it
days of
again.
rest.
Yeah, man,
That's
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard anybody talk about that. But I think that's a hell of a point that you just made because every single day counts. That game went from what, Saturday to Monday?
so
Yeah.
Kansas City played on Saturday. Buffalo was supposed to play Sunday, but they ended up playing late in the day on Monday.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So I mean, you're a
Yeah,
former player.
that's
You know how much that rest is, especially after a physical
well,
game in the cold.
every every single day counts, right? When it comes to your recovery from the top to the bottom, it doesn't matter who you are. So now you're kind of playing with somewhat of a disadvantage, but
You're at home,
um
but you're on less rest. So
you're on less rest. Yeah, exactly. You are on less rest, and I think that is something that could really come into effect. But really, at the end of the day, man, this is playoff football. It's you you got to let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? Like it does matter. It does mean something, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to really affect the outcome of this game. Uh, for me, I think because I've already talked about it again. I think it's going to be the defense. Like what's Spagnuolo going to do? What's the plan going to be? How are we going to box Josh Allen in? Who are we going to send up the middle? What looks are we going to give him? We can't let him get outside the pocket. That's the issue, though.
well,
That's the issue.
well, to use what you say to add what I say, he's had 2 extra days to do that while Buffalo was still worrying about Pittsburgh. So I think
Facts.
that does give Kansas City an advantage here. I'm rooting for my 10-1 on Buffalo. I'm crawling back onto that side right now with you to Kansas City. I gotta wait till it gets closer to the game time. I'm gonna take the under for the
Oh,
show.
give me an no.
I'm
Give
taking the
me an
under. I'm
answer.
taking the under for the show. I like low
What
scoring. I like low scoring. Maybe
what's the
I'm
number?
gonna have to hop on live. You're gonna have to check out Instagram, Facebook on Sunday, and I'll have to hop on and tell you guys which side I like. But I like it under. It's going to be cold again. 45.5. They think it's going to be on that side. I mean, last time they played was 20-17. I think it's going to be low scoring here. If Spagnola can do what you say he's going to do, there should be no issue going under.
Facts. No, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm excited
It's
though.
a
I'm gonna tell you that. I'm
big
excited
weekend.
about
It's going
this.
to be a big time in Baltimore. I'm
Absolutely.
not going to the
Absolutely.
game, but maybe next week if they get to the AFC Championship game, you might have to make a road trip.
I don't know about no road trip. I don't know about no road trip. We're gonna be in that sky. You feel me? But yeah, listen. If they make it, yeah, we might have to make that happen for real. So until then, Bush and me will be back next week with our recaps of what we talked about today, what we saw on the tube from this weekend. If you're tuning in, share, like, comment. Tell a friend and then tell that friend to tell another friend. Bush and me, we're getting back on the train. We're doing it the right way. We're getting our social media spruced up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it is, man. We're here for the long haul. If we don't do it the right way, then we're not going to do it at all.
There you go. Hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoy the games this weekend. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week.
Peace.